we're back with some mortgage madness, this time with Georgia and Ryan from Southwest Mortgages. It's Ryan's podcast debut today. How are you feeling?
Good.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Got your brain in gear?
Nope.
3 coffees down? You ready to go? G,
One more
all right?
might be there.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Good. So we're going to talk about first-time buyers today. How hard is it at the moment for first-time buyers, do you think?
More difficult than normal, I would say. But less difficult than the news would have you believe.
Oh, that's good. I think it's hard anyway. I remember when I bought my first house, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And we definitely weren't in like the position economically that we are now as well. It felt easier back then, I think.
Yeah.
Back then, like it was 100 years ago, it wasn't. I'm not that old.
Yeah, I would say when I bought my first house 4 years ago now, I would say it went through like a breeze. Like the application process was so easy for me.
Is that because
Now-
you did it yourself though, G?
No, I can't do my own mortgage.
Oh, you can't?
No.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But
So you have to do everything the same as we would have to do it then,
yeah.
in terms of the
Oh yeah,
application
yeah,
process.
absolutely. Obviously, we would get another advisor to help us do it.
Yeah.
And obviously we knew what we're doing. But yeah, I just remember it being so much easier, like them not asking hardly any questions and it flying through. Within like 3 days we had an offer. And now it's like 21,000 questions.
And it's the lender asking the question once
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the lenders are definitely more cautious at the moment.
What sort of questions do they ask? Like if,
Could be
obviously, if
anything.
something was, let's say, your coach house, was that the first place you bought?
No, I bought another house previously before that.
So was that freehold or leasehold?
Freehold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if it's leasehold, do you think they just go ham on the questions, or do
No.
you think they're
It's just,
harder to buy than a freehold
No,
for first-time buyers?
not really.
No, as long as you factor in any costs, service, ground rent, which has always
Yeah.
been the case. But I think in general it's more difficult because lenders are being more cautious, and there's a lot of disinformation out there as well.
Yeah.
So like we've had Brexit, COVID.
Yeah.
Every
So
time
much.
the rules change,
Yeah.
and then I think we speak to a lot of first-time buyers and they come in with a preconceived idea about certain things, and it's our job to
Fix them up.
tell them how it
Tell
really
them
is.
no. We are seeing, I mean, there's not as many first-time buyers in the last couple of months, but I think people are definitely being more cautious because of all the scaremongering in the news and everything.
I suppose as well, like with the cost of living, younger first-time buyers are probably thinking that
Yeah.
it's they're not quite in a position to do so.
What
yet.
we
So
are
even though
actually-
they might have deposits saved. It's not just that, is it? It's like
Yeah.
once you're in, what? can
We
you
are
afford to
actually
do it?
seeing a lot more scenarios where parents are actually going on the mortgages with their first-time buyer children
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
how does that work?
So I did one recently where it was mum and dad and 2 children, and it's basically a scenario where it's joint borrower but sole proprietor.
Okay.
So only the children would actually own the property, but the parents would go on the mortgage to help them. So there's no additional stamp duty implications or anything like
That's
that.
good to know.
But it also
That's
gives
really
them the
good.
extra borrowing that they need to get a decent house as well.
So how does that work if, when it comes to the repayments, it's just down to the children to repay? It comes out of their account.
the lender would, all 4 applicants would be liable for the mortgage payment. So if any mortgage payment did get missed or anything like that, then it would obviously go on all 4 of their credit files.
Fine, okay.
So yeah, we would have that discussion with the children to say, like, what is the scenario? What is actually going to be happening? Are you going to be splitting the payment between all 4 of you, or is it just the 2 children that's going to be looking after that payment? And then we would go through the affordability and see what is their maximum budget type thing.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about these schemes. There's so many different schemes that are applicable to first-time buyers that they're helping hand with nationwide. You can borrow
Yeah.
5.5 times your income, which is massive.
Oh my god.
Compared to every other lender, which is about 4.5. So yeah,
So with something like that, is the repayment term normally longer to bring the payments down, or
You
are
can
they
do,
still?
yeah. Again, I mean, each lender have got a different set of rules on it, so you can go to the age of 80 if you want with some lenders.
but the maximum term is always around 35 to 40 years. You never really see a lender go beyond 40 years for a
No.
mortgage term. So
It's kind of brave,
that would,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't want a mortgage when you're 80, really.
No, you don't. No.
And do you think most of them, do you think it's the prices going up, obviously, that's made it harder? But are you also finding more of them are trying to buy like flats and apartments, or with stuff like Help in Hand? I suppose that means they can buy houses as well. Is there kind of a difference in what they seem to be buying now from what they were buying a couple of years ago?
I haven't really seen that. No, I mean, perhaps they're buying smaller properties simply because prices have gone up so much. But I mean, 2 beds are always the most popular property for a first-time buyer.
Yeah.
As you mentioned before, leasehold can put some extra complications into the mix with a flat. But in terms of it being a bad time to buy, or what did you say? Bad time to be a first-time buyer, or
Well, not a bad time. It's just a hard time to be a first-time buyer.
Well, I mean, stamp duty break. So we didn't.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Stamp duty isn't payable up to 425 now.
45, yeah. Don't question me on that.
Which is massive. So, and, I think just have a conversation with an advisor, because a lot of people don't know about tracker rates, which are half the price of fixed rates at the moment. Might not be right for them, but it will suit some people and it'll be a lot cheaper. Mm-hmm. Help in Hand schemes, joint borrower, sole proprietor.
Yeah, they've got loads of options. Yeah.
And there was always also that, I remember seeing it on the TV loads, I think it was last year. Was it the Barclays? I don't know if it was Barclays.
Springboard mortgage. Yeah.
Are they still a thing?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. I've not done one in a while, actually.
I haven't done one in ages. No, I think some of these schemes, they look great, but they don't suit everyone.
It's
So
basically where the parents kind of substitute their savings. So they have to lock it into a Barclays account, but Barclays would use that as kind of like the first-time buyer's deposit. That makes sense.
Fine.
So it's kind of like a deposit.
And then the parents get it back, don't they? Or
They do
something?
after 5 years or something along those lines.
Yeah, they get quite a good interest rate on it as well.
Yeah.
So there's not really any big disadvantages other than the fact that obviously the parents have to lock the money away, but still accruing interest, and it would be just if it's just sat in their account anyway.
Yeah.
And then as a result, they get an elevated affordability calculator.
Yeah.
Is it 5 or 5? I don't know.
I don't
it's a
know,
higher amount, but I think the key thing is you sit with a broker. We would do a fact find and get all the information from them, and then
there's
go away and
obviously
look at these
so many more
schemes.
products available than
just your standard mortgage. Yeah. Lenders want to lend first-time buyers money, so there is that they will always offer schemes and other options available to help those people get on the ladder.
And I think it is really worth first-time buyers not being put off by the media and sitting down with you guys, because people want first-time buyers in chains as well, because they don't have a chain.
Yeah.
So people do want to still sell to somebody that isn't reliant on another sale for stuff to go through.
Yeah.
So, good. And like aside of the mortgage side of things, if you were a first-time buyer, or when you were a first-time buyer, what didn't you know about that you were really naive about, or what advice would you give somebody now?
All of it, I think. When you sit with an advisor initially, you're thinking, right, there's probably about 6 banks. What can I borrow?
Yeah.
That's it. Go and find a house. But there's over 90 banks that we deal with, and then you've got costs. So stamp duty. Mm-hmm. You need a solicitor.
Yeah.
What level of survey do you need? What are the timescales? You then put the application in, and then it could be downvalued.
Yeah, there's so much to think about, isn't there?
Yeah, there's lots of different things.
But
also,
I mean,
as
we get involved in those bits, so we'll tell them all of that.
We'd also do a budget planner with the clients as well, so they know what their essential living costs are as well, not just the mortgage payment. So
I remember being asked that when I got my first mortgage, or sent the application off, and Joe was like, "Oh, have you thought about the bills?" I was like, "Bills? I'm paying a mortgage. I don't have bills as well." But obviously you do.
We're
Like, you just don't think of, like, even now, like I was saying earlier about having your windows cleaned, just like stupid things like that you don't think about when you buy a first house.
I've got a leaky roof at the moment.
like maintenance,
It's pretty expensive.
and Do you
We-
think because of that, first-time buyers tend to go like newer?
Potentially,
I think,
I
like
don't
you
know.
say, a lot of them don't think about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
suppose
we
that's
have
my
to do
question.
a budget planner above and beyond what the lender would do.
Yeah.
Fine.
As a mortgage advisor, and we would put in there, elevated energy costs.
Fine, okay. Like a worst case scenario,
Yeah,
basically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's like everything. It's like travel costs, food, you know, what your direct debits are, you know, what are you going to be paying when you're actually living in there, you know, gas, electric, water. It's literally everything you
Yeah.
can think of that will be coming out of your bank
council
account.
tax.
Yeah.
Quite often people are the other way though, because they think it's, you know, they can afford X amount, and we tell them they can afford more, which is always quite positive. But then you worry about the monthly payments, and no one looks at their
put
pay
everything
slips.
else on top as well.
So we look at the net salary, and then take all those things off, and they're like, oh, okay, actually I've got a lot more than I thought I did.
Yeah. I suppose
even
it
after all
works
those
both.
costs.
I suppose it works both ways, and I suppose as well that depends on what's going on. Because at the moment, where everybody's being overcautious, like you said, they're probably really clued up on their worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So they kind of know what their repayments could or should be before they even come in to see you, and then you can just help them settle all of that. And
Yeah. One of the first questions I always ask is, what is your monthly budget? Like, what can you afford to spend every month? Because it's all well and good giving them a massive mortgage, but you've got to pay for that mortgage. So, yeah.
and everything else. That
Yeah.
comes. It's all fun and games.
Definitely.
Anything else you didn't know, G? Or that you wish you knew? Did you do this when you bought your first place?
Yeah.
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 Oh, so you have.
I think because I'm in the industry, I just
Yeah.
like, you just know, don't you? I
It's just
don't
me that
know.
didn't know. Well, I sort of did know, but I knew like the estate agency side of it.
Yeah.
So I knew how to like put an offer in and how the solicitors work. But I think the mortgage stuff, I was still like, whoa.
Yeah, I think to be
minefield.
honest, buying a house for me gave me loads more knowledge.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
When
I
you go
think
through the
so.
Starting
process,
mortgages, you do your CMAT, that's great for
Yeah.
the regulatory side, and you know what rates
Yeah.
can you get, and things like the
Yeah.
joint borrower sole proprietor. I can never say that, but not about the solicitors or how long it takes or negotiating with an estate
Yeah.
agent.
Yeah.
Or things that can
The
go
first
wrong.
the first place I bought was was leasehold, but share of freehold as well.
Right.
oh God.
And I remember the lender asking like loads of questions about that. And I remember thinking, I know all about this. I've dealt with this before. But actually the questions they ask, you don't really know the answers to.
No.
It's like a completely different ball game from their perspective to what it is ours. That was kind of wild. And then they started asking about, like front door access and where people park. It kind of got like really quite...
Really?
Yeah, not like...
Yeah.
It wasn't complicated. It was just questions that I didn't think...
That they
I
would
wasn't
be
expecting to
asking,
come up.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. And like when our payday changed, this is what I'd say to first-time buyers, and I wanted to change the day my mortgage came out, so I phoned the lender. I won't mention who, because I don't want to put anyone off. But they told me just to move it a day, but I was moving it from like the 26th of the month to the 1st. And then when I went to sell that house and get my next house with Josh, my broker, Jo, she was like, oh, you've got missed payments on your credit file. I was like,
Oh, no.
I literally don't. I thought I was like the model
Model
credit
applicant.
person, yeah. And it was because the person at my lender had said, change it to a standing order, because if you don't do that, you have to make 2 payments like straight away. So I did exactly as she said. And basically, because it was then coming out basically the month after it was supposed to, I had 6, 7 missed payments on my credit file, yeah.
Did you get that
Yeah,
removed?
it was fine.
Yeah.
It took ages though. It was like 6 weeks I had to go into there and lay the law down.
And your
they
credit
could see that
report
I'd
doesn't
never missed
update
one.
straight away either.
No,
so I bet you had to wait
but
longer.
Luckily, I don't know how I don't know what had happened. I guess something flagged up, but they kind of managed to stop it before it was anyone else could find out about it, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh,
In
that's
terms of, like,
good.
car finance and
Good
stuff like
advice.
that, it was all off. Yeah. So don't change your payment date to a standing order.
No.
Or if you do, make 2 payments up front. I think that's what it was. Does that sound?
No
It-
I
idea.
think they were like, if
Between
you're
bank to
moving
bank,
it to
they
the
all
ne-
have different rules.
Yeah.
What
It's
things should
because
be
it
paid.
was
and-
like the end of the month. If I wanted to move it to the 1st by direct debit, I'd have to pay that month plus the next month up front, I think, or something. I was like, well, I can't. I'm first time buyer.
Well, usually when you
Didn't
move
have
in, it
spare
takes
£900.
4 to 6 weeks for your first payment to come out,
Yeah, I can't remember.
and then
what
because of that,
happened.
you'll pay a much higher payment. But
Yeah.
Yeah, we always say it's like from the day you complete to when your first payment is due, it's those many days interest plus your first
Yeah.
mortgage payment.
Yeah, that first one's always
Yeah.
like a bit higher than the rest.
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I
then
think mine
that's
took
it.
2 months to come out, my first mortgage payment.
Yeah.
You were
It's great.
you live in the dream. You thought they'd forgotten.
Yeah.
When you're a first-time buyer,
Yeah, it's not great.
you need that
Double
money
the
for
amount.
Yeah, true.
grown-up
You get
stuff like
surprised when it does come
dishwashers
out.
and that's what you don't think about when you're a first-time buyer. You
God.
need all that adult stuff.
Yeah. It was for me just like general maintenance. How often somewhere needs decorating.
Mm-hmm.
And like you notice something like that more living somewhere than I think someone coming around. No one's ever said to me, "Oh my God, your house really needs decorating." My mother, maybe. But I think you notice that more. And when you're living in somewhere, obviously you want to make sure that you're able to sort it out when you need to and stuff like that. Any other tips?
For first-time buyers.
Yeah. Don't go ham over
LISA,
Christmas.
lifetime ISA, utilise things like that. So you get 25% from the government on top of your deposit, which is amazing.
And that's not the one where you can only spend $250, is it? Is that something different?
So it was the Help to Buy ISA.
ISA.
We have to say we can't advise on this because that's like an investment and savings thing. But there are saving products available. The one that was $250 was the Help to Buy ISA.
Fine. Is that still a thing?
No.
And that's now changed to
Okay.
lifetime ISA,
Yeah.
Okay.
which can be used for your first deposit or to contribute to your pension.
Yeah, you can get pension payout, can't you?
Oh, that's good.
But it's 25% and the amount is higher. Don't ask me how much it is, but it's higher than $250.
Isn't there a certain age you have to start paying into it before you can't? Is it 40 or something?
For the pension side. Yeah,
for both, I guess, to open it.
Don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
there is
Like I
certain
said, we
terms and
can't advise on this
conditions.
stuff. But those are really great. You should check those out.
Yeah.
25% for free.
So if, say there was a first time buyer and they had money saved but maybe thought they needed to save a little bit more, are you happy to speak to them before they've got to that
Massively.
point where they're kind of like ready to go? So you're happy to talk to them at
We
any
see
point?
clients like a year before they're ready
Yeah.
sometimes.
Fine, okay.
Yeah.
That's such
good.
an important point. It's never too early to speak to
No.
us. Because
Because I
people don't
suppose
know
people
that.
don't know the plan. They don't know how, like, even where to start sometimes.
Yeah, and
do
sometimes they just want to know like what they need to do to get to that position. So to get into that position to be able to buy. So
We would get a credit report really early as well. So if you had missed mortgage payments or something like that,
Not actual ones.
then we can, cross that bridge and fix it before they.
I think the other thing is as well, I had, like, when my friends started buying, they had quite all the advice that they were getting initially were like off parents.
Yeah,
And that
massively.
advice is so different to
It
like
is.
what you guys would say. And I kept sort of saying to them at the time, I know, like, we all listen to our mums and dads, obviously, but they might have bought their house. Some people have been in their houses like 40, 50, maybe not 50, but 30, 40 years by this point, and things are so different.
Yeah,
so I was sort of saying to them, don't just like, I'm not
listen to
saying they
parents.
don't know best, but you need to speak to someone who's working in this right now.
yeah.
Pre-2007, it was a bit of a different market. We had the mortgage market review in 2008. And before then, I think you could borrow up to, was it 9 times your salary? And you could do...
You could say you earned 100 grand, you didn't have to prove it.
self-cert mortgages.
Wild.
Self-cert mortgages, yeah.
You could do 100, was it 110% with
So
Northern
you
Rock?
could get your mortgage for your house and then buy a car as well at the same time.
What, on the same product?
All the furniture.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But now there's a lot more. So the mortgage market review came into place, and now the regulations and compliance is
Way
much more
stricter.
stringent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I guess while people might have been miffed about that initially, it's definitely a good thing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because with parents, like you say, the Bank of Mum and Dad is like the 10th biggest bank in the UK or something like
Yeah.
that.
Gosh.
The amount of money that parents are having to give to gift to their children in order for them to get on the property ladder. But you quite often have the conversation, why are they asking for my bank statements? We need to ask for their statements and things like that to check where the money came from. But
Yeah,
of course, they
fine.
didn't have those rules.
No, it could
So-
come from anywhere.
They do often get funny about it if we were asking for all those
Yeah,
details.
I mean, I understand it's personal,
It is.
very personal information, but yeah, it's just a conversation for us to say that it's held securely and
Yeah, it's not come from like
Yeah.
under a mattress or something.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And do you think gifted deposits, there's always something that has to be signed as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Just to say that you're not due to pay your parents back.
It is a
that
gift,
right?
yeah. That
Yeah.
it is a gift, and
A
they
true
don't have any
gift.
right to the property, because otherwise it's not a gift; it's a loan.
And is that even if it's for just part of the deposit?
Yes.
So any money that goes into a house that is a gift
Yeah.
has to be signed. Okay, fine. But that's all stuff
Any
that you'll
amount.
explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else you can think of? Any wild stories?
There's probably loads, to be fair, for first-time buyers, but no, I'd say that.
We've covered quite a lot, I
Yeah,
think.
as you said,
Nailed it.
Talk to an advisor really early.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think that I think people just assume that you guys or people, even like it's the same when you're buying a house, is we speak to people way, way, way before they actually buy one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of not to give the same advice you'd give, but just to say, this is the sort of areas you should look. This is the type of house you might get for that budget, and just so they know they've got something to work off. But I think if people know how to save, not how to save, but where they can save money and what accounts to take out, because you guys have that information, that's really useful.
Well, I'd say that a lot of
And I
people,
think a credit check, because people probably don't. I never checked my credit before I got a mortgage at all. I never even had. I didn't have anything actually that would have even given me a credit score. I don't think before.
A lot of them are free as well. These are free tools to check your credit. But yeah, those are big tips. So get a credit report. A lot of people don't know that you can do it with a 5% deposit, which
that's good,
because they
isn't
went
it?
during was it COVID?
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went.
That was fun. We had to queue up to get the rate every day with certain lenders. I think
Oh my
HSBC was the
gosh.
last lender doing
They used to open their books at like
10%.
8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock. Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
used to
right.
be
It
on
was
there
like
at
queuing for
1:45.
festival tickets.
Yeah.
Wow, just to try and get
Just to book a
figure out-
rate, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Or some lenders would only have like certain allocated funds that day to be able to
Barclays.
give
yeah.
up borrowing.
And that's
yeah,
because
Barclays.
everything went crazy then. didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
I just think lenders, because it was such an uncertain time, they just kind of pull their products, sit back, wait, see what happens, and then slowly reintroduce again.
Yeah.
And we have seen that more recently with the cost of living crisis and everything
yeah,
that's been
that's a
going
good
on in the last
example.
couple of weeks.
When that happened with Liz Truss, and the mini budget and the economic debacle after that, the lenders did pull their rates. But with brokers, a lot of them, they have a pledge that they will give us a warning. And so,
okay, fine.
I mean, it was great, really, because we got all of the mortgages in early, and they secured their rate, and they've saved.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of. I think Halifax was the last lender, and I did like 5 Halifax applications in one day.
Most popular.
Yeah.
I think as well, when all of that was going on, the media's like, lenders are pulling rates, you're never going to buy a house. And
Yeah.
it's only ever temporary, isn't it? They just
100%.
basically sit and review.
It was literally like a week that they
Yeah.
pulled their products while they sat there, repriced it, see what was happening with the market, and then they reintroduced them again.
And I guess that reassurance always comes from you guys. Is
Yeah.
like, that's why. And do you think? I guess you don't get that like personal service and those personal recommendations from going direct to a lender, do you?
Personal
As in like from you guys saying it'll be okay in a week. Let's just wait and hold off. The product's been pulled, but there might be another one.
We can't say what the bank would do, but I guess
You can, that it hopefully something will come
Yeah.
back, and you can,
well,
calm everyone
for
down.
example, there was an article that said mortgage offers are being pulled, and that wasn't true. So did you have any?
Yeah.
Was it not a single
I had
mortgage
probably about
offer?
4 clients call me saying, "Is my offer going to get pulled?"
Yeah,
But
and
once the offer's
no
offered,
lenders
that's it, isn't
pulled
it?
their offers.
Or
Yes, they always reserve the right to pull the offer if there
Okay.
is a material change with the client. So if
Yeah.
the client's taken out new credit halfway through the
Sense.
application, or something's cropped up with the property legally and they're
Yeah.
not happy to lend on it, the lender can always say, right, we can't give you the mortgage on this scenario.
even if they've had their mortgage offer,
Yes.
fine, okay.
But that's them, if they've. I mean, I've had somebody buy a Mercedes, and it was £600 a month after the mortgage offer.
Yeah.
They then got it was that.
Yeah, that
yeah.
was
But
interesting choice.
lenders didn't pull their rates as a result of the economic issues
Fine.
we had. So
Yeah.
So I mean, I very much doubt that the banks would be able to just pick up the phone constantly to
Yeah,
clients as
I
we
think-
did, or WhatsApp. I had so many WhatsApps like forwarding the news article saying, "Is this true?"
Yeah, I think we obviously, us working here, we'd only ever go to you guys anyway, but people that don't, I do have known people go direct to lenders. And whilst obviously they might have been or bank with them separately, and that might be how they feel most comfortable, they don't even know really if they're getting the best rate that they could get, do they?
Yeah.
Unless you're there kind of looking at everything.
Yeah, I mean,
for them.
a lot of banks are non-advice. So that was my first job when I was 18 at Nationwide. I was
okay.
a non-advisor. So
you can basically give a product based on their information, but you can't actually tell
They have
them.
to ask you for that product.
Fine,
and they'd
okay.
say, what do you think? And I say, I
Can't tell
can't
you.
tell you that, but I
It's a
can
secret.
tell you that there's fixed rates and tracker rates. Which is, I think it was
fine.
in 2008 or 2009. And so that was just after so trackers and fixed were a conversation back then, as they are again now. Whereas for the last 10 years, it's been
Fixed. That's all it's
But yeah,
been.
so I think there's a lot of non-advisors at banks that can
Yeah,
only sort of take your
fine.
information, give you the options, and then you decide
What to do,
you're gonna
yeah. And I think especially now for first-time buyers, it's so important if they've got someone that's kind of got their back and is prepared to sit down with them and
Yeah.
go through absolutely everything possible.
I think it's a stress thing. It's quite daunting buying your first home.
Yeah, it is.
And,
It's exciting, then it's daunting, then it's exciting, and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
This is it.
But it's just putting it into, drawing from experience and saying, don't be worried about that, or, just being prepared, I guess, before we would do an agreement in principle before they're viewing.
Yeah, so
properties.
they'd know,
So
wouldn't
sort of
they?
pre-approved already.
Yeah.
And we've seen their credit reports, or when it's going through, you might get the house might be downvalued, like I say, or the solicitor might want an indemnity policy, or
Yeah.
and they'd want to speak to us to go, what does that mean? And we go, oh, we've had that before. This is what it means.
Yeah, it's normal. All
Reassure
these
them.
things, that come up.
so many
Obviously-
different scenarios can happen with each.
Yeah.
No client is the same.
But we're involved
Every
until
client's
completion.
different.
So, like you say,
You see it all
they're
the way
back
through.
until,
Yeah.
until the end.
And I think it's nice because obviously most people, it depends who you're buying through. If they've got an agent and a broker that's kind of got with them the whole way, and that kind of one or two people that they're speaking to, it does really make it easier,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Particularly with it does with any house move, but particularly with the first, with the first
I think it's
one.
quite rewarding for us as well. It's
Yeah.
we enjoy dealing with
Definitely,
first time
yeah.
buyers because you take them from that like nervous,
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing, to collecting the keys and that.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's so refreshing when you give them all the information and they completely understand like where they're at, what options they've got, and you can just see the relief in them after the meeting. Like, wow,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, because it is such a big thing as
Yeah.
well. It's definitely
Yeah, it's
like
definitely it's nice to be
not,
involved in something like that.
Yeah, it's such a big deal. I think that first, you'll never forget the first house you buy.
Yeah.
And how
I think
hard you work to
other
get there.
like parties in the process are quite difficult to get hold of as well. Like a solicitor, for example.
Yeah.
They're very busy people. You couldn't just pick up
And
the
if
phone or
you've
jump on
got
Zoom.
solicitors for you guys that you recommend,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
first time buyers will kind of are able to take a recommendation from you guys, which I
Yeah.
think helps as well.
Yeah, big time. We never want to tell them who to use, but it's all experience, isn't it? And,
Yeah.
that changes, doesn't it? So like,
There's never one good continuous
No,
solicitor.
Yeah.
and I suppose to be fair, like if you two are you're always dealing with different people, so you might have one that you really like to work with that's got you through some difficult stuff, that helped you get through some difficult stuff that's come up, and yours might be different.
Yeah.
So, but it's not. That's what I think is nice about making sure you've got a broker, is having that like personal recommendation from
Yeah.
someone that you've kind of learnt to trust.
yeah, and we if we give them a lot of business, we have a better chance of chasing them as well.
Yeah.
I guess, say, look,
They'd
could
be
you get
happier
back
to pick up the phone to you.
Yeah, and some of them get really busy, so they put their prices up quite a lot. So even if we have a solicitor that we prefer, we'd still get several quotes, because I think that's their way of telling you we're too busy by charging
Yeah,
them
fine.
more.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah,
not going to use
fine.
them then for. the next
And
couple of
ultimately, I suppose if the first time buyers got you guys on board anyway, that although you want to have a good solicitor, and preferably, I suppose, a local one that you guys know,
Yeah.
you're kind of that middle ground as well. So you're happy to take some chasing off them. And
Yeah, some of them
Get the
will
answers
use,
that you need.
the sort of cheapest online solicitor, which is fine, but it will take a lot more chasing from us
yeah,
to,
And the client as well. The client will need to be very proactive in
Mm.
making sure their solicitor is doing their job.
yeah. I think personally, I've always used local ones.
Yeah.
And it's just
Same.
nice because if there's anything, like, you can still pop in as well and
Yeah.
see them.
Yeah,
Most
it's
people
important.
don't, tend to need to do that often. But it's nice, like, people obviously come and see you guys, and it's nice to be able to go and see them as
Yeah.
well,
I
I
remember
think.
when I was doing mortgages on Commercial Road, and I went into Barron Bailey opposite, and it was so reassuring just being able to see
Yeah.
Eugene for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because you think you know what you're, the whole process. But like I say, that was my first mortgage, and actually I was learning things at the time. So
Yeah, good. Well, thanks very much. I think we've covered pretty much everything there. But as always, if anybody has got any questions, any of you are first time buyers and you need any help or advice, please get in touch. Thank you.